Okay, now to an alarming trend surrounding teens and gambling. New York high school student Colby Cotrone voicing his concerns on the issue in his article, High Stakes for High Schoolers. Want to bet teens need gambling education? It was a winning submission just published by the New York Post as part of their Scholars Contest. In it, he cites that 60 to 80% of high school students reported gambling money in the past year, despite the legal age ranging from 18 to 21. According to the National Council on Problem Gambling, gambling has become incredibly accessible in recent years after the Supreme Court's 2018 decision to strike down the federal ban on sports betting. That move paving the way for more than 30 states, plus Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico to legalize online betting. For more on this, I want to bring in the author of that article, Colby Cotrone himself, as well as Dr. Marc Potenza. He's a board-certified psychiatrist at Yale School of Medicine, specializing in adolescent gambling. Thank you both for being here. Colby, I'm going to start with you. First, congratulations on the article being published. Talk to me about why you decided to write about this and why it's so important to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me on the show today. After just seeing how prevalent gambling has been in my high school and just seeing my friends gambling, sports right at their fingertips on their phones, just the conversation has about sports has gone from the actual game right to more of like the spreads and the money lines. So you just hear it being talked about in classrooms, at the lunch table, in the hallways. It's just so prevalent everywhere.
So let me get
nowadays.
this right. Like, you're walking in class, or you're in class, you're in the hallways, and you're hearing people talk about money lines, and people have the gambling apps on their phones?
Yeah, it's just become such a casual thing. Once it was unheard of to have almost anyone gambling outside of Las Vegas or certain states, but now it's just casual conversations about teenagers in high schools betting right on their phones.
You know, Doctor, so it's no surprise that sports betting has exploded with all these states and obviously the apps on the phones. Talk to me about the dangers that kids are doing this now. And we should make it clear, it's illegal for a lot of these high schoolers because in most states to gamble, it's 18 or 21.
That is correct. However, many students do gamble, as we're hearing. And this is a very alarming trend that is occurring in the setting of the internet, allowing people to place bets anytime, anywhere, and large amounts of money betting on just about anything.
Doctor, I want to ask you, you know, there are so many influences with the sports gambling, right? Commercials all throughout the games. You walk into a stadium, you're inundated with the advertisements. How much of an impact is that having on kids?
It's something that we need to understand better, but one could think of this as perhaps a perfect storm, where there is the increased availability, the legalization, the social acceptability, and the access via the internet in the setting of heavy advertising and coverage in the sports media.
Colby, I want to read a portion of your article that was published again in the New York Post. Here's what you write. You write, it's time for schools to focus on the root cause of online teen sports gambling by implementing gambling prevention education in all high schools. Health class curricula across the nation cover the typical health risks for teens, such as smoking, vaping, drinking, etc. Yet gambling education is nowhere to be found in our schools. Do you really think that needs to be implemented, Colby?
Yes. So, I mean, with drugs and alcohol and things along those lines, we're taught about the effects of it and all the effects of it. And gambling, it's such a recent topic that students, they don't know what the effects are when it comes to it. We don't know what will happen, and they don't know what will happen later down the line as they get addicted and just see negative effects throughout their life.
Colby, do you have any friends who have already gotten into debt because of this?
And I'm not sure the numbers too much with specific people, and it definitely depends on who it is, their addiction levels, what they're betting on, and all of those sorts of variables. But there's definitely an increase overall and trend of teens gambling in high schools.
Yeah. Doctor, what would sort of a curriculum where kids would learn about gambling and the dangers of gambling when you're too young, how would that work in school?
I think it's like other risk behaviors, like with substance use behaviors. Gambling and heavy gambling can get people off track in their educational endeavors and in their progression towards becoming young adults. So it's very important to understand the risks that are associated with underage gambling.
Are you seeing already young patients? Are kids coming in where you're surprised at how young they are?
So we have seen an increase in calls for help in our state. Our state operates a gambling helpline.
Yeah.
And since the legalization of sports gambling, we've seen a 90% increase that is coming from...
90?
90% increase that is coming largely from young males with sports gambling problems, either calling for help themselves or a parent, usually the mother, calling for help about their son's sports gambling.
So sad. Colby, what do you hope happens, or what do you hope you can accomplish with the article that was just published?
Yeah, the goal of the article is just to shed some light on how big of an issue this is, as it's not really talked about in the media as much as many other common issues. And I think high schoolers just need to be aware of the effects of what they're getting into when they think they're just doing something as simple as rooting for their favorite players, but it's turned more into making money than watching the game and having fun as a fan.
And Dr. Potenza, for anybody out there who may have a problem or for parents out there concerned, what's the best thing they should do?
I think they should talk with their child about the potential problems and seek help. And there is a national helpline for people with gambling problems to reach out for help in their local jurisdictions.
Dr. Potenza, Colby Cotrone, we thank you both for joining Top Story tonight.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.